because I think Hudson Card is going to be named the starter. I can't predict what happens in practice. Hudson Card is the better passer. He just is. He has more arm talent. He's more skilled. He's more consistent. It's been that way where Thompson has to win the job, and he has to close the gap on day in and day out. How consistent are you throwing the football? That's the head coach of this team cares about that. He cares about being able to throw the football. I think Hudson Card, from what I was told in the spring, threw the football better and more consistently than Thompson. And it's why, even with all of the stakes involved, and look, maybe Casey Thompson doesn't stay if Hudson Card is named the starter, Sarkisian has to start the guy that he thinks, A, gives him the best chance to win the U of L game. Now, that's just one piece of the equation, though. He also has to start the guy that he thinks is best for the program, big picture wise. There's a lot of little underlying themes in all of this. But at the end of the day, if Card is outperforming Thompson in practice, it's hard for me to envision a world where Sarkisian ignores that. And it's something that the last staff had on it. When Casey Thompson has the big bowl game, even the next day or two, the members of that staff were not able to wipe away how one-sided they thought a conversation between those two players was, with Hudson Card having the edge. So I think Hudson Card wins the job, but Casey Thompson could. I just think where I specifically pointed out he has to improve, I don't think that's happened yet.
All right.
Next question comes from Big.
Hold on.
Okay.
As a associate member of the Casey Thompson fan club, I just can't let you go off on that one. Okay.
Okay.
I still got to say, I think Casey wins the job. Okay. That's my opinion. And the reason I'm going to say it is because I think Hudson Card, look, so far, he's been the backup quarterback. So far, what we've also heard, he's a non-vocal leader. Now, we've heard Sarkisian say you don't necessarily need to be vocal because in the no-huddle offense, you're not really getting in guys' faces. I think Casey Thompson throws a good ball. I think one of the better balls in the spring game was the touchdown pass that was dropped that Casey Thompson threw. I mean, if that pass isn't dropped, then we're talking about one touchdown pass to another. Both balls were really pretty, in my opinion. I think Casey Thompson, I will not negate what I saw from him in a game against Colorado. I'm not going to negate him as a leader, as a person who's organizing a lot of the offseason workouts. So this for me, I heard what you said, but I just want to make sure on my side, I still think Casey wins the job. That's all. We can move on. I just got to make sure I say that.
I want to let you know that I also heard everything that you had to say. And the one thing that didn't come out of your mouth amongst all of the words was that he's better than Hudson Card. He's more vocal. You don't want to discount the bowl game.
Doesn't that make him better?
Discount the bowl game.
Doesn't that make him better?
What's that?
Doesn't that make him better by default?
No.
Hold on. If Hudson Card had thrown 4 touchdowns in that game, would you have had any doubt that this is not even a conversation?
Do you think Tom Herman, for just a moment, do you think Tom Herman thinks Casey Thompson is better than Hudson Card?
No.
Okay, well, I don't either.
Okay, but did Tom Herman also?
He saw him every day, right?
Tom Herman didn't think.
Saw him every day.
Hold on. Tom Herman didn't think Bijan Robinson was better than Keontae Ingram. Was he?
Of course he did.
No. He thought, because clearly he started Keontae until Keontae got injured. So I can't go off of like what Tom Herman's assessment is.
The Bijan Robinson thing is complicated by the fact that he got hurt in his second game.
And he still played.
No, look,
and he was still healthy.
We can relitigate the Bijan thing. We both agree that he needed to play more, but I don't think Tom Herman would say, I think Keontae Ingram is better than Bijan Robinson. I just don't. Now, you can question the usage around why would you do that if that's your opinion. Then we get into Stan Drayton and the fact that Herman let his assistant coaches delegate snaps in a way that I think hurt the football team. And there's a lot of layers to that. At the end of the day, and look, it's weirdly turns into Geoff doesn't like Casey Thompson. And it's just furthest thing from the truth. I'm simply saying day in and day out, when it comes to throwing the football, he has not been as good as Hudson Card. And I will point back to the spring game where I thought Casey Thompson was sensational. I thought he was electric in the opening drive of the game. And then for the next 3.5 quarters, he was just a guy who did not look like a player that should be starting at quarterback for the University of Texas.
Neither did Hudson.
And when we talk about expectations for this season, it's why I constantly go back to both of these dudes have to grow up this year on the field. It's why on some level, Sarkisian has to make a decision. I mean, if you, this may be the end of the buy or sell segment. We may end up just now focusing on this. There's an interesting question to be had, which is, if the guy who you think is the best to start the season opener isn't the guy that you think would be the best in game 12, how do you handle that? I mean, what if Steve Sarkisian fully believes that Casey Thompson is, by whatever margin, is ahead of Hudson Card going into the opener, but Sarkisian feels like if you give both of those guys 12 games, the person that emerges from that 12-game season is a different player. How do you handle the short-term versus the long-term there if this is the first major decision of the Steve Sarkisian era and one answer undermines one part and another answer potentially, look, the way I'm framing this might just be wrong. I'm just saying, in a world where this is the case, how would you handle that?
I mean, that's assuming like worst case scenario, right? So you're assuming that one person is still, that question operates under the premise still that Hudson Card is better than Casey Thompson, as opposed to Hudson Card could still start in week 1 and then get better and be a great quarterback that we're talking about by week 12, right? So both
of these guys could.
Correct. But if you are Steve Sarkisian, do you throw a guy like Hudson Card in against Louisiana for his first start? A guy who's been a backup, who's done a couple little things here and there. Your first start of the season is against Louisiana at home in front of 100,000 people. I think that catch is asking a lot from a young man. I would much rather have Casey Thompson, who's had some playing time, who's seen different defenses, who is, is a good, student of the game, who's out there working out with NFL guys in different states.
But you're not saying he's better than Hudson Card.
I think he's better. He's better. I think he's better. At this moment, I think he's better. At this moment, I think he's better.
You think he's better at throwing the football than Hudson Card?
Is this a 7-on-7 contest?
In the Sark offense, you think he's better?
I've seen him throw. I've seen him throw darts.
That's not what I asked.
Yeah, I didn't see Hudson Card look like he was that great of a thrower. I look at the incomplete passes that he had in the spring game. There was nothing that I saw in that spring game that made me go, man, look at that guy. He's one hell of a thrower.
Because Hudson Card had an ESPN like #1 play of the day moment. There was nothing that happened in that game that made you think that Hudson Card was more advanced. That ball that he throws that hits a window so small.
Did you see the overthrows?
I wondered how he saw it.
Did you see the overthrows?
I asked you, did you see that throw?
I'm asking, it's the same question. Well, you're talking about one throw. One throw. Did you look? Okay. Yes, that was a great throw.
So you did see something.
It was a moment ago you said you didn't see anything. Throw was just as good, if not better. It was dropped.
No, that throw doesn't come with a 100-foot pole of that throw.
Confirmation bias then.
It's not. No,
Yes, it
I've been
is.
covering Texas football for 3 decades. I can count the number of times on one hand I've seen a Texas quarterback make that throw that Hudson Card threw in the spring game. Did he have other poor plays? Yep. Were there moments where he didn't look ready? Yep. Were there moments where Casey Thompson in the bowl game, made throws that I thought were sensational? Yep. But that throw, and here's the thing.
Look
Hudson
at this
Card.
This is crazy.
You're making the case. You're basically taking the opposite approach with Hudson Card and Casey Thompson that you just took with Bijan Robinson and Keontae Ingram. You were suggesting, in your words, if Keontae Ingram on day one was more prepared to start the opener, then he should start the opener. He should go the entire season. That's not what you were just saying about Bijan, but that's what we're saying about Casey Thompson in this moment.
Well, I mean,
he's most ready now.
Last thing I'll say, you can talk about the bowl game and you say, oh, well, what Casey Thompson did great in bowl game. Hudson Card played in that same bowl game, same players. And we weren't walking out there talking about anything spectacular that Hudson Card did.
Well, yeah, but unique context is needed.
Practice. We're talking about practice, AI. We're talking about practice, not a game. We're talking about practice.
I mean,
not a game that I love. We're talking about practice.
Okay, so not when the lights came on.
It's never when the lights come on. It's just what someone does behind closed doors.
It's not though. Casey Thompson,
it's like, hey, I'm really good at by myself with Pornhub, but when I got a woman in my face, whoa, I don't know what to do. Just saying.
Is that the metaphor? That's your metaphor.
That's my metaphor.
It's a great metaphor.